Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports from A to B. Today is Friday, February 20th, and alongside Tyler Trudeau, I'm Damon Turbitt. Today, we will be covering everything sports, including a review of the week that was for Spy Ponders Athletics, and we will also be looking ahead to some big matchups.
That is right. Also, we will take it to the big leagues as Damon and I discuss some of the hottest topics in Boston professional sports. So stay tuned and follow us on Twitter at SportsA2B as we keep you updated on all things athletic.
We lead off with some unfortunate, sad news for Spy Ponders boys basketball.
That is right, Damon. The boys caught a tough break this week. Our Sarah Weber has that story and more. Sarah?
Welcome to the APN Sports Blast, where we focus on sports in and around Arlington. The streak is over. In a surprising upset, the Arlington boys basketball team was taken down by their crosstown rivals, Arlington Catholic, by a score of 64-58. The Spy Ponders were ahead early in the game, but the second half belonged to the Cougars, as senior Nick Carvello hit 4 3-pointers to give them the lead heading into the final quarter. The Arlington High boys basketball team will look to bounce back on Friday as they take on Medford. With the playoffs right around the corner, the Spy Ponders are looking to gain some momentum by finishing off the season with a win. The Spy Ponders boys hockey team took on Weymouth in a non-league showdown. The game was close until the very end, with the Arlington squad taking the Wildcats down 2-1. And there were actually some winners in Boston's ongoing battle with the Snow Gods. As an incentive to get vital help from city residents, the Boston Red Sox teamed up with Boston Calendar and Only in Boston to offer residents game tickets by shoveling out fire hydrants. Fans submitted selfies of themselves digging out fire hydrants to receive 2 free tickets to a game at Fenway. And spring training begins today for the Red Sox. Today, the catchers and pitchers reported to JetBlue Park in Fort Myers, Florida. The Sox are joined by new members Rick Porcello, Wade Miley, and Justin Masterson. The rest of the team is expected to arrive on Tuesday. The Red Sox' first game in the Grapefruit League is a doubleheader against the Northeastern Huskies and BC Eagles.
Thank you, Sarah. But let's go back to talking about that boys' tough loss to Arlington Catholic. They were so close, 20-0 to running the table. Second to last game of the regular season. That's got to sting.
It definitely has to sting for them after a whole season of not losing a single game. That definitely is going to be a tough loss for them to take. But I'm going to spin this in a way that can hopefully give the Spy Ponder fans out there some hope. This is a bad thing for people to be coming into a playoff 21-0, we'll say, if they did win. They're confident, we're undefeated, we're going to win the whole thing, we're 6th in the state. That isn't a good mindset to go into the playoffs. In the playoffs, you want to be winning every single game. You want to go in there confident, knowing you can win. There's a difference between confidence and cocky. And if they went undefeated, they're definitely going to have a little bit of a
they're going to have a little bit of swagger.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're the best team in Arlington. Oh, yeah, we're the best. This loss was bad, especially to a rival team. It's got to be tough for them. They're going to come into the playoffs ready to go.
Yeah, and maybe it's an exception if an undefeated team is just blowing every team out of the water. We get that. If you're heads and shoulders above everybody else, 20-0, don't get me wrong, that is incredibly impressive. But also there were a lot of close games in there that could have gone either way. So, having this loss, you get that bad taste in your mouth of what a loss really is like, and I think that's going to be very important. So I agree with you there. I think that it's going to be a good move for the Spy Ponders. But speaking of the Spy Ponders basketball team, let's look ahead to some upcoming games, including Friday night, where the Spy Ponders will take on Medford High in some hostile territory in their last game of the regular season.
Both the Arlington boys and girls hockey team are in action Friday. The boys will take on the Red Devils of Burlington, while the Lady Spy Ponders will take on the Wilmington Wildcats.
The busiest NBA trade deadline in a quarter century ended yesterday. Rumors swirled around the league that the Celtics and Danny Ainge, who have been making the most moves all season, would be added again. Reports said the Celtics were looking to ship Tayshaun Prince to the Phoenix Suns in return for Goran Dragic or Isaiah Thomas. And of course, just before the deadline, Boston did just that, sending Marcus Thornton in a 2016 first-round draft pick for Isaiah Thomas. And shortly after, the Celtics traded Tayshaun Prince back to the Motor City to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Jonas Jerebko and Luigi Datomi. So Tyler, how would you assess the Celtics trade deadline moves?
I was very happy about this. One, because Tayshaun Prince is gone, and I said he was going to be gone last week, and I made sure as soon as I found that out to let you know.
I will admit, Tyler was right and I was wrong. The veteran leadership does not matter here.
But I am actually very excited about these moves because this is actually the first trade the Celtics have done all year that kind of leads for a hopeful future. Isaiah Thomas is a great player, a very small guy with a very big heart. I can see him becoming a very big fan favorite in Boston. And let's go to the other trade for Tayshaun Prince. we get two people that aren't really well known, we'll say, both foreign guys.
Well, they just did not really get much there.
Yes, that is true. But I believe that Yerkoby,
It's a
I
tough
believe
name.
that Urebko actually has a chance to make an impact because with Jared Sullinger just going down, they are going to need a stretch four like Urebko. And with Del Tomey, he just has played 3 games this season with the Pistons. He's clearly wasn't wanted on that team. The Celtics, they're a weak team. He could have a spot here in Boston. I'm excited to see.
Well, let's not go that far with the Tomey.
I am not saying that these are the two players. Mainly, the main focus should be on Isaiah Thomas. That's going to be good. My only concern is I thought we were going to be focusing on the development of Smart. And now that Smart and Isaiah Thomas are on the teams, they're clearly going to be splitting minutes at the point guard position. I know one of them could play shooting guard, but that's Avery Bradley's spot, and I don't think anyone's taking
Right.
that.
Well, I think that you could see Avery Bradley being taken over by Marcus Smart. I think that they're trying to bring Isaiah Thomas in because he does something that the Celtics don't really have right now at point guard, and that's score. He scores 15 points a game. He has the highest player efficiency rating out of all Celtics now, and he hasn't played a game yet. So what he does is he brings scoring, and he really balanced that backcourt. Because, I mean, you have defense in Marcus Smart and Avery Bradley. You have offense and scoring in Evan Turner and Isaiah Thomas. So I think that move was definitely the most impressive. As far as the Tayshaun Prince deal, I think a lot of it just had to do with like a money dump. I didn't expect the Celtics to do that and get rid of the veteran. Tomey, he won't be there at the end of the season.
No.
They might just get rid of him as soon as possible. I think they wanted maybe Urebko just because, like you said, they wanted a stretch four, maybe someone who can shoot the ball and just take some minutes up while Sullinger's off the court.
The Boston Red Sox began the 2015 season when pitchers and catchers reported to spring training. However, the focus of the media wasn't on the new crop of starting pitchers, but on the Red Sox' new third baseman, Pablo Sandoval. The Panda showed up early to spring training, but was taking a lot of heat for his bulging stomach. Should the Red Sox be concerned with the shape Pablo Sandoval is in?
I'd say there might be a little bit of concern here for Sandoval. I know the Red Sox, they're not worried about big guys. Obviously, they brought Sandoval in. They've seen some great success with Big Papi. They've seen great success with Mo Vaughn in the 90s. I mean, they've seen big bodies go in, but these guys also were either DH or first baseman. What you have now is Pablo Sandoval playing the hot corner, third base, a pretty active position, got to be able to move quick. Pablo is known for being a good defender, so that's maybe not as much of a concern, but at the same time, he looks like he packed on a little bit of extra weight, and it's going to be a little bit tougher for him to move around. He's at spring training early, so maybe he'll be able to shed a couple of those pounds with the help of Red Sox training staff, of course, but I think there's a little bit of cause for concern there.
I'm actually not nervous at all. Pablo Sandoval is a 3-time World Series champ, and I don't think too many people realize this. He is a 3-time champ. He can hit the ball, and he's quick for the man of his size. He's always been a big guy, but he did just sign a 5-year, $90 million contract, and he did seem to put on a couple of pounds. I can see why that is for concern, but the man just showed up early to spring training, and the only thing people are talking about is his weight.
But it's like a man showing up to a job interview wearing some torn up jeans and a tank top.
He already got the job. He's the third baseman for this team. Yes, it may have not been the best first foot forward, but he showed up early. He didn't even have to come for a week. And he's been here in the heat too. And what he has commented saying is, I'm going to let my bat and glove do the speaking for me. I like that. He's not making excuses for himself.
Well,
he is ready to play.
I'm hoping he can fit that glove around his hand because I think his hands might have gone a little bit too big. But another thing with Pablo Sandoval is you also have to look at that side of the infield. He is the veteran on that left side of the infield. He's the anchor. He's going to be expected to carry that load because Xander Bogaerts isn't necessarily the best defensive shortstop, and he's young. Pablo Sandoval might be expected to cover a little bit more ground to make up for that. So putting on more weight is definitely not helping that cause. Mm-hmm. The New England Patriots were able to put Deflategate behind them en route to winning Super Bowl 49, but there are new developments in the case. The finger is now being pointed at Pat's locker room attendant Jim McNally, who allegedly tried handing a referee an unapproved special teams football. Tyler, this is the first time that any person has been brought to the forefront in this case as a suspect, but do you think that these new findings even really matter at this point?
I am sick and tired of this story. No facts have been solidified this entire time. This story, this evidence, Chris Mortensen first came out, 11 out of 12 balls were 2 pounds under. Okay, another week goes by. Ian
Rappaport. It's a tough.
Ian Rappaport.
It's a lot of tough names today.
Ian Rappaport just said, "Oh no, only one ball was 2 pounds underweight. The others were just a few ticks under 12.5 pounds." No fact has been confirmed, denied. This was brought up by a team that just got spanked, 44-7. They were humiliated. They couldn't win this with overinflated balls, underinflated balls. This needs to go away. There's no evidence.
And we can't even find out where it originally came from, because now with this latest news about the locker room attendant is that supposedly the NFL was the one who kind of tipped it off to themselves. It wasn't the Colts. So that's another interesting aspect of this. And also, even after this report came out, there's been another report saying now that McNally was given the football by an NFL official. So now we don't know who to believe, what's going on. We went from 11 out of the 12 balls being underinflated to do we even have one that was underinflated and even illegally used? So, I mean, to me, I agree with you. I'm so sick of hearing Deflategate. Of course, we have to talk about it. It's a big deal. It required so much coverage, which didn't necessarily need in the end. But, I mean, I'm glad. I think we can finally begin to put this to rest.
And another thing that's just to end on, the ball that was 2 pounds underinflated was handed to the referees by the Colts linebacker.
Right.
I don't know.
Oh, we're going to start another conspiracy theory here at Sports from A to B.
Oh, geez.
We're going to take this one to the league office.
Let's speak about something else that's deflating, the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins continue to struggle as they are on a 5-game slide after being blown out by Vancouver last week. The Bruins lost 2 close games, losing 4-3 in overtime against Calgary and losing a shootout to the Oilers on Wednesday, 4-3. The Bruins are still in hold of the 8th and final spot of the playoffs, but only have a 1-point lead over Florida in the standings. Damon, is it time for the Bruins to panic, and what do they need to do to get back on the right track?
Well, I mean, we talked about this last week, and we were like, well, how can the Bruins get on the right track? We keep on saying this every week. It's a theme now. And what I said was it all started last Friday night in Vancouver. Huge game on the road. They always play Vancouver tough. They play them well. And obviously, we saw it in the finals a few years ago. They normally win and sweep the floor. But what just happened? Vancouver swept the floor and dominated Boston on their home ice, and Boston has now lost 5 games in a row, including the first 3 on their road trip right now. I said that road trip was a make-or-break road trip. I'm sticking by that. I know there's plenty of time left in the season, but right now, I mean, this is just not the Bruins team we're used to, Tyler.
Yes, this is not, the Bruins are not themselves, and that's the difficult thing. And yes, you said there is still time left, but there isn't much time left.
Right.
They can't afford to go on another 4 or 5 game slide. They're running out of time. I still think that any team that plays the Bruins in the first round of the playoffs is going to be a tough series. It's going to be a series. It could go 6 to 7 games.
So?
But that's the thing. They need to make it to the playoffs first. And right now, I just do not see it. These next 2 games are huge. They are going up against St. Louis, and they are going up against Chicago. The 2 and 4th team in the Western Conference on the road. If they can win this, that's going to be a big momentum swing. But right now, I just don't think they have it in them.
And even if they do make the playoffs, personally, I don't think they'll even be able to give much of a series. Right now, I just don't think this team has the same identity that we've gotten used to over these past few years. It doesn't seem like there's much of an intimidation factor anymore. Tuukka Rask, he's still doing all right in net, but as of late, he's really slipped. The defense, I mean, they're letting up 4 or 5 goals in these games, and that's just not Bruins hockey that we've become accustomed to watching over the last few years. So I think there's some serious cause for concern whether they make it into the playoffs or not. I mean, the Panthers, let's not get mistaken, they're not a very good hockey team. On the verge of the playoffs, sure, but not very good. The Bruins should be able to slide in there. I'm kind of skeptical at this point, but overall, as a season outlook, compared to where we were at the beginning in the preseason and our expectations there, I think there's reason to panic.
And just like the Bruins running out of time, so are we. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to check out the weekly Sports Blast updates and tune in next week for another episode of Sports from A to B. I'm Tyler Trudeau.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter at SportsA2B so you can stay updated on Arlington sports and Boston sports. I'm Damon Turbitt, and thank you for watching Sports from A to B.